So today we're working on the 2006 PleasureWay. It's based on a Ford E350 chassis. And what I'm going to be doing is finally putting the first leaf spring on. When I first bought this truck, the leaf springs were way undersprung. It only had 4 leaves in there. And for the weight of this vehicle, is just way overweight, and so the handling was really bad. So what I've done was I hired a spring shop to replace the leaf packs with a bigger pack, but there's some constraints with this chassis. The RV build on the back of it limits the access to the leaf spring bolts. So what the spring shop decided to do was to leave the very first spring bolted to the chassis, so they didn't have to do all this extra work. They're just being a little, I don't want to use the L word, but they're a little lazy. And so anyhow, I'm fixing that today. So to get access to these spring bolts, there's, like I said, there's a few constraints. So the first constraint is the battery box. So I've removed the battery box, which will then give me access to that bolt right there, which is the front mount for the leaf springs. And then on the rear, there's a similar challenge. So what I'm gonna have to do is drill a hole in this cargo box somewhere in this area to get access to the bolt for the rear. And there's kind of some similar constraints on the other side. So I've got my parts over here. The spring shop gave me all my extra parts. So yeah, the main reason why I'm doing this is because that first spring that was, the original one that's left on the van, it's 17, 18 years old, something like that. And it's worn out. And these springs also have new bushings in them, and so do the spring hangers. So each one of these hangers has a new bushing in it, so I'm going to be replacing those as well. Again, these are parts that the spring shop provided to me when they were doing the work, but they were unwilling to drill the holes or take that battery box out. There is an alternative method to do the battery box. If you don't want to do this to take it out, you can just simply drill a hole in that as well, but I figured it's not too hard to take it out. It'll keep my box intact, so that's what I did. I took it out. So the job is complete now. Apologies that I didn't film the whole thing, so I'm just going to describe what I did. It was a pretty tough job to do, that's why I wasn't filming. Didn't feel like I had time to get it all done in one day, so anyway, did the work rather than filmed. But here we've got the original leaf springs. These were the very first ones that attached to the chassis, and you can see the shape that the rubber bushings are in. So on this one, both of these springs, the bushings have kind of moved to one side, where it was loaded, and you can see they're all cracked and weathered. And these are the spring hangers here. You can kind of see same thing, it's cracked and weathered, and those bushings are just completely shot. So that was the whole reason for doing this, was to get the new bushings for the first set of springs and on the spring hangers. And then the way this is assembled in the van, this would be here. So that new bushing that came on the first spring is now in that hanger, and then it also came with a new bushing for that one. So anyway, since I wasn't able to film the whole thing, I'll just kind of go over to the van and describe what I had to do. Alright, so this is the cargo box on the passenger side. That's the hole that I ended up having to cut to get access to the spring hanger bolts. And what I did was just patch it with an aluminum plate and use some a Turnabond tape to kind of weatherproof it on the other side, because it's going to get a lot of road spray and so forth on the back side. So I'll show you what that looks like. So it's just an aluminum plate with some a turn bond, and you want to layer it. You put the bottom one on first and the top one on second. That way any water would drip down and over that joint. This here is the spring hanger, and that is the bolt. This bolt is so long that you won't be able to get it out without cutting that access hole. Alright, so that's what it takes to fix the handling on the PleasureWay Excel, is to put new leaf packs in for the correct weight rating. If you look on Rock Auto, they have packs that have 7 leaves. They're rated for 3,750 pounds. Those seem to be the appropriate weight for the van, with the PleasureWay RV built in the back of it. And when you get those, ensure you buy the new spring hangers too. That will give you those new bushings, and yeah, that will fix all the handling problems that the PleasureWay Excel has.